Now I got to indulge myself in one of my personal favorites from 1968, Billboard's Hot 100 of May 25th, 1968. Song is dropping on Billboard's Hot 100. Let me see if I can bring it. Here it is. Produced by Ron Richards, Jennifer Eccles by the Hollies, down from number 40 to number 54. It only got as high as number 40 on Billboard's Hot 100. Was not one of their biggest hits, written by Alan Clark and Graham Nash. What can I say? It's just a constant loop of great hooks. Look through any window, yeah, what do you see? Can't get enough of that song. Late 65, early 66, I Can't Let Go, I'm Alive, On a Carousel, and of course Pay You Back with Interest back in the summer of 1967 by the Hollies. The ringing guitars, the three-part harmonies, it's so godlike in a way. The temple of rock and roll, ringing with the sounds of the Hollies back in the British invasion, back in the day. Jennifer Eccles, though, not a lot of people didn't like the record. I always loved the record. It did go to number 7 in England, number 5 in Norway, went to number 10 in Australia. Graham Nash, let's talk about Graham Nash real quick. Graham Nash got to the point. He made a massive contribution to the Hollies. I mean, he sang on all their hits. He's up there front and center with Alan Clark and but he wanted to be more of a serious musician. He felt too constrained by the commercialism of the Hollies. Uh, their music was so commercial. He wanted to branch out, and they were doing songs like King Midas in Reverse. They came out with a song called King Midas in Reverse. Not one of their most commercially accessible records. Didn't do as well, and Graham Nash left the group in 1968. Migrated to Southern California, became a member of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and one of their first hits was Marrakesh Express. And if I remember correctly, Marrakesh Express was a song that Graham Nash had originally written for the Hollies. Graham Nash was a very socially, politically conscious fellow. He had this amazing song back in the spring of 1971 called Chicago. And but this song by Jennifer Eccles. Let's go back to Jennifer Eccles. It is so childlike. That is its charm. It's like Carrie Ann. It's like going to elementary school or junior high school. At high school, I used to carry her satchels. She used to walk by my side, but when we got to her doorstep, her dad wouldn't let me inside. White chalk written on red brick. Our love told in a heart. It's there, drawn in the playground. Love, kiss, hate, or adore. I love Jennifer Eccles. I mean, it's just the childlike quality of some of these songs, like "Look Through Any Window," or the song that the Rolling Stones did in 1967, 68, "Dandelions." I want to mention something else. I want you to think about this. Think really deeply about this. I'm going to bring up something that very few people have brought up about the British invasion. The British rock groups had an advantage over the American rock groups. Of course, a lot of them attended art school, which lent a lot of creativity to their music, especially groups like the Beatles, the Kinks, perhaps Queen or Pink Floyd. But I don't know how to put this. One of the biggest advantages, and I keep coming back to this, particularly when I watch this video of the Hollies doing Jennifer Eccles. It's a lovely video of them signing autographs. The British groups were not threatened by the draft like the American groups were in the 60s. Now think about that. British England had dropped the draft around 19. Well, it's called national service. It was called national service. They dropped national service around 1959, 1960. Think about that, because around 1950, 1959, 1960, the British rock stars were coming of age. Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Ray Davies, Mick Jagger, all coming to age during this time when the draft was dropped in England. And the draft, of course, continued on in the United States. We're in the Vietnam War here in the States. The draft was not dropped here in the United States until 1973. But think about that. The British did not have any worries. The British groups did not have any worries about being drafted. Not so with the American groups. Archie Bell of Archie Bell and the Drells, he was drafted. Steve Lawrence was drafted. Gary Lewis was drafted. The British, think about this. I know I keep repeating the phrase think about this, but I really want you to give this some thought. What the British invasion would have been like if England had kept the draft. And would there be a British invasion at all? Would there be a Beatles? Would there be a Stones if the British had kept the draft? They didn't. A little bit of alternative history for you, or alternate history, or whatever you want to call it. Still love this record. Jennifer Eccles by the Hollies. Billboard's Hot 100, May 25th, 1968.